All right. I guess I'll start. First of all, thank you so much for being here, Jafet. It's been
Thank you very
really
much.
interesting researching you and your music, and it's like really great to be able to speak to you in a virtual but kind of face-to-face format. I guess my first question is pertains to Worcester as a setting, and the question is like, how has your upbringing in Worcester influenced your rap style and like your lyrical content? So, for example, are there any specific personal experiences you had growing up that have like informed your music today?
Without a doubt, especially my music, I try to keep it as authentic as possible to myself and my environment. So growing up in the housing projects and Great Brook Valley when I was a kid in Worcester, it definitely influenced the type of music that I make. Just you know through the ups and downs that comes along with that type of environment. So I definitely grasp it, and it's something that I carry as a cape. It's my uniform. Worcester and where I come from and my experiences. So most definitely.
Yeah, next question, kind of related, but if you had to classify it, how would you describe Worcester rap music? Like, are there distinctive themes and characteristics that you attribute to the region, or is there like a similar area that you think it sounds close
Um,
to?
if I had to pick, let's say one word, I would say diverse. There's all types of different type of artists that represent all walks of life, and then that's why I love the city because it's like a melting pot in a sense. Like you got the suburbs right next to the project, like a couple miles. You know what I'm saying? Everything's just right there, and there's so many different type of environments in one location. A lot of people are hungry, are making moves, being successful in their avenues and the things they want to do. So I would say diverse and hungry. That's how I describe the Worcester like music scene right now.
Great, thank you. And then like within that, are there specific like themes that you see that come up a lot in maybe your music or some of your peers, or is it just a wide variety, like you said?
You're gonna get two sides of it. The sides that reflect the true state of the environment, and then you're gonna get what mainstream, what the mainstream wants. So like, but the reason I say diverse is because it has all of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's just all different types of artists, like all different types of styles, from like from artists that do the mainstream to more conscious rappers to emo rappers. There's so many sub genres inside the city alone that's like you know that's just the way that I could describe it, just diverse. Sure.
One of the questions I had is kind of like a two-part question. Essentially, do you think it's important for rap artists to represent their roots or origins through their music? And like, how do you make your own music reflect through your Latinx or Latin roots? I just wanted to know because I noticed that you're representing Worcester's Main South through Maria's Kitchen in Flight. And
Most definitely representing the roots, and it's important, especially from Worcester being so many Latinos in Worcester. It's pretty much like half of the population in my eyes, from my perspective. So it's important, and I have to do that for my people, especially being Puerto Rican and hip hop. I feel like we don't get the love that we deserve us when it comes to cultivating the culture. So that's something a burden that I carry in my back. Like y'all have to, because we're important in this when it comes to not just rapping, but just the b-boying and art. And we were so essential in creating that and cultivating it. So the first time I ever rapped was actually in Spanish. I freestyle Spanish when I was like 7 years old. Then I transitioned, obviously to English, which is my main language. So, I love it and I embrace it 100%. And I do that so other people could do as well and be proud of who they are. And as far as Maria Kitchen, that's just a staple. Like when I first came from Puerto Rico when I was a kid, Main Street is just like where you go to run all your errands when you just move in from another country or something. So, seeing that, it's like a staple to me. Like putting that in a video was to let people know, like, I know what the city's about, the foundation of it, from the bottom. So that's why I put that on there. And I wouldn't say it's my favorite because I'd rather a home cooked meal, but it's good food.
Hey, Jafet. My name's Lucas. I'm a senior at Clark. We talked a bit about your origin and coming up story, and so did the last question sort of pertain to that. And I think origin stories are really interesting in hip hop. Like, why do certain artists start picking up the pen, and why do they start, writing lyrics? Like, what motivated certain rappers to start doing that? So I was curious, like, what is your origin story to starting rapping, and why did you decide to start rapping? And like, how old were you? And
Thank you for your question. That's a great question. And as I stated before, first time I rap, I was 7 years old, and I moved from Puerto Rico to America when I was about a year old, and it was because my sister was sick. She had a disease that was just rare. As she got older, her bones started to deform, losing her speech, ability to walk, and just regular functions. So we moved to America, and unfortunately, I come from a background where it's not stable, broken homes. My mom was 22 with like 4 kids and a handicapped daughter. My father was in and out of the streets. He passed away when I was 4. My father going through a bunch of different things, and what I mean. But around 7 years old, I lived in the projects, and my sister ended up passing away when I was 7. And I heard this specific song, like it was by Mobb Deep, Quiet Storm. And the feeling of the song just resonated. Like I've never felt more connected to anything in my life. So that's what made me like, it drew my attention. It was like, all right, this is how this song is how I feel. And I don't know how to express it at such a young age. So that's what made me fall in love with it. Cause I just felt like there was a home, it was like a home for me. And I always freestyle to myself in the dark. I would just close my eyes and just rap to the dark. And it was like, now looking back, it was like I was speaking to my higher self, like my inner God, you know what I'm saying? So it just molded me different from my environment, completely different from my environment. And, I would say the pain, you know what I mean? And it being an outlet. And, I'm a Pisces, so I'm an artist. So it was just natural. It was like, I just picked it up, like could freestyle off the top, no written, like it's like written, people won't even believe it. But that's how it started, the pain, and making something out of nothing.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I appreciate the Mobb Deep shout out, because I think Prodigy is one of the best rappers to like illustrate pain, and he just does that so vividly. So I could see how you could take his influence into your own bars. So I really appreciate the answer. And I just had one other slight question. What's like the first verse that you're like most proud of? Like you talked about your first verse was 7, but was there a time you're like, whoa, that was fire. Like that was a great verse I just rapped.
Yeah, for sure. It's a song that I wrote and when I was about 19 years old, called Brown Shoes. And the 3 verse, it's a great song. I actually got footage of the performance. I will send it to you guys if you're interested. But there's just intricate wordplay, double entendres, metaphors, and the 3 different verses is brown shoes. It's about, each verse is about getting your feet dirty and still going through life. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the metaphor. Life being like a pair of old beat up brown shoes, but you still walking in them in your journey. So.
Hi, it's great to meet you. I'm wondering about something kind of specific because listening to your music, I kept thinking about this, and I'm wondering, would you consider yourself like a quote conscious rapper? And what do you make of this term? Do you think it's useful? How it's used and stuff like that?
I consider myself a conscious human, so I guess I can be a conscious rapper. And I just feel like, as far as the term in hip hop, it has drawn a negative stigma, as the culture got older, especially with the youth. Nobody wants to hear a rapper just speaking all this, now telling them what to do and what's best in life, But I think that's what we're supposed to do with this culture. We lost our way, and conscious rappers are needed. The De La Souls, Brand Nubians, Tribe Called Quest, like that's needed, and that's what I feel like I cultivate with me and my team, and that's what we try to do. Like, I'm not just a conscious rapper. I can do it all. Get the party live. If I feel a certain way, I'm just a realist. Like however I feel, I don't try to portray something perfect. I'll give you the good, the bad, and ugly, but I'm definitely a conscious rapper, I would say.
Do you have creative ambitions outside of music? And if you do, how does this interact with your work as a musical artist?
For sure. Just building and working within the community, whether it's, doing small things like food drives, donating clothes that we don't no longer use, or let's say like cleaning up a park or building up a park, to make it safer for kids to go at it. So, I definitely want to do more things like aim towards the community, and that directly coexists with my music, because that's what the music is like. The music is just the theme, it's the background music, the soundtrack to the action and to the everyday interactions that we have with people, So, I just want to be able to just inspire outside of the music, inspire people to chase their goals, people to love themselves. The number one important thing to my message is self-love.
You recently, or maybe not recently, but became a member of the Worcester hip hop based group Stand Capital Recordings, along with Danny Phantom, who we interviewed last week. And you guys just released Volume 1 a few weeks ago, which I really, really enjoyed. So what influenced your decision to join Stand Capital Recordings?
What influenced my decision was, well, pretty much, first and foremost, like it wasn't something until we made it something. I was kind of like on this mission for the last 10 years, just trying to meet people. Like I was just meeting random people in back alleys and like 10 o'clock at night off of Main Street to rap. You know what I'm saying? So I was always on this journey of finding people that like-minded, you know. So I met people that I enjoyed beyond music, you know, people that made sense spiritually. So you know, I did my best to build relationships with Danny. When I first met him, I told him like, I don't want our relationship to do anything with music or hip hop. So we went like a year and a half where I shut down all conversations on music, you know. So you know, I was kind of like the spearhead and putting the group together with me and Kanan and Danny. So you know, that's what made me pursue that avenue of not just being a solo artist, just because I know the culture needed it more than anything. So I wanted to put myself in position to do whatever I can to inspire and sacrifice to put us in position to spread a message just bigger than just one person, you know. So that's how that came about.
When Danny was interviewed, he talked about how you guys started by playing basketball together and then kind of transitioned to making music after that.
Yeah, just like I just wanted just a regular friendship, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't interested in building relationships based off my talent. You know, I didn't like that. I didn't like the idea of that, because you just don't know what people's true intentions are, their agendas. You know what I'm saying? So I like to get to know people before I bare my soul. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the music is. You know, so. But yeah, Danny Phantom is a great artist and a great person. So I'm honored to have him on my side for sure.
And so on Volume 1, you guys released the song Mysterious Maiden, which I believe you described it as a love letter to hip hop, kind of.
Yeah.
But throughout, you kind of toe the line between taking shots at the industry and saying how much you love the music. Lines like the industry is run by puppeteers, and then also saying it's a love affair. So could you explain like how you created that song, what your inspiration was, things like that?
So for that particular song, because SCR came about, we moved into a house together. Like we rented an apartment for 2 years just trying to get this together. So it wasn't just like, you know, people just were doing it once in a while. Like we had to deal with each other's, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it, but we had to deal with it all. So, you know, one day Kanan was in his room and he made that beat for Mysterious Maiden. Kanan is, you know, the third group member of SCR. And he had a verse for it. And I was just like, I'm known to be the hungry one. Like I'm always like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, so I just wrote a verse for it that mirrored his in a way. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that song came about. And as far as like I love hip hop 100%. Like I hate the industry. You know, I hate what comes along with, you know, being successful or people having something that people like. At this point, you know, it's not just like embracing each other on the park and it's like, all right, that's it. It's like there's also so many other things that come along with it. So, you know, I would never lose my love for the music. Even if I decided not to ever drop another song as a professional artist, I'm always going to be creating. So it's like I always walk that thin line of like, you know, should I share this or should I just keep it with myself? But ultimately, I share it with the people because I know it's bigger than myself and I'm just an instrument.
And essentially, like, what are the things that you like struggled with accepting as the norm in the music industry, and things that you would like to change about hip hop as a genre or the culture, et cetera, et cetera?
So this is what I was getting to about the different entities. It's the fact that you have the whole industry aspect of it and being a professional recording artist, and then you just have like the true culture of it and just being an artist. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really say that I would want to change anything out of either or, because it's just, it all draws a picture. And if you really study it, you'll get what you need to get from it. Like beyond it just being a regular fanatic. Because hip hop to me in our history and what we live, it's one of the most useful tools in the world. And that's why it was weaponized against our people. I just wish it was more of an equal platform on the industry level. But as far as like the whole thing in general, I feel like life just happens how it's supposed to happen.
I think this question has to do with sort of the last two questions that were asked, but it's sort of a two-parter as well. Firstly, where do you see like the hip hop world going in the next few years? You mentioned the different scenes in Worcester. Do you have any like? It's so hard to predict this stuff, obviously, but do you have any sort of ideas of what like the trends the next 4 to 5 years are in the hip hop world? And the second question is, how has COVID affected your creative artistry?
Cool. So as far as like the trends, I feel like due to the internet, playing a new role and how music is being delivered, I feel like it just leaves so many different tunnels for, let's say, 90s boom bap to exist and thrive, and the newer trap music. So like sonically, it could go anywhere because the internet just became something where everyone could just create their own lane. I feel like if on a mainstream level, it's still gonna continue with sex, drugs, and alcohol and murder. You know what I'm saying? Like that's always gonna be prevalent on the airwaves, and the emotional battle. That's what they promote on the airwaves. But as a culture and just like in general, like the whole landscape, I feel like we're gonna see all different types of things. I feel like there isn't gonna be anything trending that isn't already trending. And the second part of your question is how COVID affected my artistry. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, it helped me a ton. It gave me extra time to work on my art, and I was blessed enough to not let the environment, mess with my emotional state, mental state. So I was able to really lock in and create these projects, and it was actually unfortunately, I don't want to say it like this, but it was a blessing. You know what I'm saying? For me as an artist. Um, so that's why it didn't really affect me in a negative way at all. I actually made way more strides than I ever did.
So you guys being Stand Capital Recordings recently had an article written about you in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, and mostly about Mysterious Maiden. And I was just wondering what it's like being represented like that.
And man, it means everything to me. Especially because accolades and achievements and monetary success isn't like guaranteed in music. In the music industry. So, the things that I'm able to cut out or record and memories that I'm able to keep and create legacy from, it's everything to me. So even like that's been like the fourth or fifth time the article's been written about me on the Telegram Gazette in the last year based on music. And even with that said, I'm not jaded. It's like every time I feel like a kid in Christmas, because like that's everything to me, like that's my Grammy. Like I appreciate it the same. Like it's, so it just gives me more drive to keep going and to dig in deeper and give the people more, because it's hard. It's not easy to be an artist, The perception is like, we could just turn over bed and make something, But when you're a conscious artist, it's like you're battling more than just the art, you know what I'm saying? So, any type of love or admiration that we get is everything.
What's it like working with other artists instead of solo work? Is there anything different about that? And do you prefer one over the other?
Working with other artists is a roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? At least like when I'm on my own, I know what to expect. I know what I'm dealing with when I'm dealing with myself. But like working with other artists and being a good teammate, you gotta give and take a lot. You know what I'm saying? Thankfully for me, I enjoy the process. I love seeing other people be successful. Like I love it. I love seeing someone accomplish something that's next. You know what I'm saying? It's like I get that pleasure like of building with someone else. So like I love it even through the crazy roller coaster that that I go through. Because I'm demanding, I'm like Kobe. It's like I got the mama mentality and I expect you to lock into the mama mentality because I believe in you that much. So if you're not ready to deal with that, it's kind of like this dude's an a-hole, like, but it's like, nah, I love you, so I'm gonna give you that kick,
So I think you touched on it a little bit with Prodigy and Mobb Deep, but who would you say are like your biggest influences as an artist? Like, are there any rappers that you just like hold to the super high standard? I know Danny was talking about MF Doom and gushing about him. So I wondered if you had anyone similar.
I'm a nerd. Like I'm a hip hop nerd. So like I'm usually like throughout my life, I've been the one to teach people and put people on to what's what. throughout my whole life. So it's like there's I can give you a quick top 5, but it doesn't even do it justice. And it's like dishonor to the one. There's so many influences, but the typical one, like Prodigy, Nas, Big Pun being Puerto Rican. I love Black Dot, Common Sense. More of the conscious artists. And Wu-Tang, I grew up on GZA. I love the GZA in particular. He's an underrated member of Wu-Tang. That's actually the first CD I ever bought was Legend of Liquid Swords. He has a song called Animal Planet. If you get a chance to listen to it, Animal Planet by the GZA. It's like animal. It's like National Geographic on the song, and each animal is a metaphor for a type of character in the street. So that blew my mind. I was in 3rd grade, and I was like, I need to use my birthday money to buy the CD. And then I went outside the next day on the block, and I was playing it to the older men, and they couldn't believe it that I was in 3rd grade running around with the CD. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are some of my influences.
I guess I could just ask, sort of connecting to Xander's question, like, is there any rapper right now who you're really impressed by? Because you named a bunch of like goats and like legends. I'm curious, somebody like the next class who you're impressed by these days.
I always got my ear to what's new. I like what's his name? The YBN kid, not Corday. Yeah, I like Corday a lot. He's really extremely talented lyricist. Of course, like the Joey Badass and the Perreault crew. They were dope when they were coming in. But right now, it's more like like the Euro droogs. Like it's weird because there aren't too many young cats like around early 20s that are doing the real hip hop. It's like the late 30 dudes are the ones that are hitting right now for the last year and a half.
I'm glad you say Euro Drew because that's like my favorite rapper ever, and
Yeah, he's
like
amazing.
I think he's such an underappreciated lyricist, and that's crazy you said him because I've always been his like double entendres and his wordplay are crazy, and I feel like he's so underappreciated in 2021. He's put out like 5 albums the past few years that are all like 10s, and it's cool to see that you admire him too.
Yeah, I stated earlier, like I know them all. Like we will have to sit here and have like a whole day conversation to really get through to my mind. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like when I first heard Old Euro Droog, it was that conversation. They didn't know it was Nas or not, and I was like wrapped up in that. But his work is amazing. Yeah, he's definitely one of the newer artists that I admire a ton. Like he's on that level of legend status with his skill.
I know you're working on your unreleased album right now, which I'm very excited for when you do release it. When you have an idea that you really want to work on, but it's not related to the work you're on like currently, like what do you do with that? Do you like, because I know with some artists it kind of disrupts their flow if they work on like a subject that's not relating to the topic they're like working on at that moment. So like how do you deal with that? I'm curious.
I bounce around honestly. Like the last 2 years I've been juggling 4 or 5 different projects, and they're all different concepts and sounds. So like I have no problem juggling work and going from different thought processes and different ideas. I was diagnosed with ADHD, so I guess it's easy for me to jump to different things and not get thrown off. Yeah, it's not an issue for me. Like I could write a song about making love, and then the next moment write a song about something political, fighting fight the power. So it's like I don't know. I'm just like one of those people. Like I was so entrenched into the music and the art. It's just like who I am. It's like breathing and walking and talking. So it's like I don't struggle to create at all. Like the only struggle I've had to create was like I had an accident about 10 years ago, and like I knocked out all my front teeth. Like I fainted off a like 9-foot ledge, and like I had to teach myself how to rap over again. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. So it's like my journey has been nuts to say the least when it comes to creating.
Mind me asking, it's not really related to what we were talking about, but maybe a little bit from the beginning of our conversation talking about hip hop culture. How do you see your artistry combining all the different elements of hip hop together? In other words, like, do you collaborate with dancers? Do you collaborate with graffiti artists? Like, have there been moments in your career where you kind of see all of those different elements coming together in your artistry?
Without a doubt. Before I rapped, I was breakdancing as a kid. So before I even rapped, like or knew what rap was, we was living the hip hop culture. I was trying to do a headspin on cardboard, like wilding out. So I've always tried to connect it. On my albums, I always get I pay DJs to scratch on my hooks, just to keep that in line because that's like a dying art. So I make sure that all my projects have DJs. Like, so that's the way I stay connected with that. I invite artists like, you know, graffiti artists to be in my videos, so to display their pieces on my videos. I try to connect them, you know, if there's any opportunities, I try to connect the artists. So it's like I'm embedded in that, and that's the beauty of it. It's not just rapping. Like a lot of people get into the understanding of hip hop just thinking it's all rapping, and that's the only. But it's like, yo, once you understand that it's deeper than that, you'll see, you'll not see, you'll feel it. You'll feel it, and how freeing it is to be in those moments where you're in the zone, breakdancing or drawing a piece or just nodding your head. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to incorporate all aspects of hip hop, and not just graffiti, beatborn, but also knowledge. You know, how we communicate with each other, our diet. You know, the knowledge is the fifth element of hip hop. You know, so that's very important in my music and just my way of life. And you know, I have to be the total package because it's missing. You know, and not a lot of people have the knowledge or understanding to be able to translate it.
I actually have one more. It might be a good one to end on potentially, but what are your thoughts on like hip hop being taught at a university in like a classroom setting like this? Like, what does that mean for you as an artist? And like, what are your thoughts on students learning about it in like a more traditional sort of setting?
Honestly, I think it's beautiful. It's like one of the best things that can happen for hip hop. You know, because there's a lot of people that don't get the chance to live in these environments to fully understand it. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to study it and then go into the environment, it's like you know what you're expecting, you know what to look for, you know what to feel. And by the look of it, you guys are well rounded. It's not just like some mainstream stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like in Prodigy and like Euro Drew and stuff like that, it's kind of like, all right. So there's people that is passing along the right information as well. You know, so honestly, it makes me happy. And like, if it was up to me, we would be having these conversations every day. You know, and we could. You know, I try to find some time.
I love your music videos for like Heaven's Design and Mysterious Maiden and Flight, and I'm just wondering, like, how do you come up with these ideas, especially Mysterious Maiden, which is so beautiful, really abstract and really interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's like another tool, another skill I have. It's like I grew up admiring the video directors. Like I would run home from 3 o'clock in the afternoon from school just to watch Rap City on Sixth Park as a kid, and see like Little Eggs and Benny Boom and all these. And it was like there's always a vision. It's more than just the music. So it's like, for example, like Mysterious Maiden. I usually don't like shooting videos where we're just rapping in front of the camera without a theme. I usually don't like that. But for Mysterious Maiden, the reason why it's black and white is because it's an ode to Eric B and Rakim, The Ghetto. So if you look up that old school video from Rakim and Eric B, the song The Ghetto, that video is black and white, and it shows different shades of the city. And you know what I mean? It's just like the idea was just like an ode for that, for Mysterious Maiden, bro. If Like for example, I have my first video that I shot was called Water. It's like I'm training being a boxer, but the microphone is like the fight is with the mic. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I always try to draw when I'm writing, I'm thinking about the video when I'm writing as well. I don't know if other artists do that often, but like I'm like always trying to be one step ahead. So when it's time to direct the videos, I don't need a crazy budget because I already wrote it with my budget in mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, it's just an art form and that I just love. You know what I'm saying? And if I had more time, I would pick up a camera and shoot videos and stuff. But like, I'm trying to be a recording artist as well. It's a lot. And that's why I made it a theme for me to drop videos consistently. I did about 7 music videos last year alone. And that's like tons of money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it's like I enjoy it so much that it doesn't matter. Like, you know, like I just want to be able to put these visuals out and help people connect to my music. So when I do end up dropping a project, it's like they know what to look forward to. They're already interested in what I have to offer.
I had a question about your writing process. Like, do you have to be in a certain setting, or can you just like write whenever, you know, it comes to you? Or like, you know, Danny Phantom was talking about writing stuff on a napkin. Like, does that happen to you, or do you just like need to be in a certain spot?
Honestly, I'm always my mind's always on hip hop. Like it's kind of obnoxious. I'm probably insane, like clinically insane, you know, because I'm always thinking about it. So it's like, especially now with a phone, it's like I can just write anytime. you know, without having to worry about my paper getting wrinkled or broken or losing it, you know. So it's like, for me, thankfully, I'm able to just like, I'm probably gonna write when we hang up with this because you guys inspire me, you know. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where it's like, I was originally a freestyle artist. Like I was writing rhymes when I was a kid, but I was freestyling. So I guess it was easy for me to develop that knack to just come up with ideas off the top of the head, and that makes it so much easier to write if you're confident with what you're coming up with on the top of your head. So it's not an issue for me, honestly. Thankfully.
How important is it to like try to think outside the box when creating music and trying to think of something that might be a little nerdy but like is awesome at the same time?
Yeah, I think it goes back to being authentic and just being yourself. Like I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so you'll get Dragon Ball Z references in my music, and like I'm okay with that. This project that I'm doing, the Art of Embracing Damage, there's like some skits at the end of songs, and it was just like random like internet memes, like videos of like, there's a video of a NASA recording saying like, this is how the sun sounds once it's sped up, you know, the frequency of the sun is sped up, and I got cut right into the song. Like it's like I'm representing the sun, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to just be you, and you know, if you have a funny thought, don't take yourself too serious. Know when to take yourself serious, know when to have fun, know when to laugh, know when to cry, and just embrace it, you know, and you'll come up with ideas like the RZA, you know what I mean, the Shogun Assassin and Enter the Wu-Tang, like that'll just come naturally just because you're just doing you know what I'm saying? Taking chances is the key with this music. You know, Prince Paul made the first skit for De La Soul. You know, people weren't making skits of music, and he just took a chance. He just like, you know, this is what I want to do, and you know, as long as you're yourself, hip hop will accept you no matter what, no matter who you are, walk of life. If you, as long as you're yourself and you're respectful, it don't matter who you are, where you come from.
Is there a way you think that underground artists could potentially like be given a better platform to break into the mainstream and kind of disrupt those stereotypes and maybe the changes that you've seen in mainstream hip hop?
On a mainstream level, the only way that could happen is if like the people that are leading the culture, like let's say like a Jay-Z or a Snoop Dogg, like someone that's really like on that level where like, regardless if you're not a hip hop, you know who they are. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like it would take someone on that level to shift the whole paradigm, like and shift the whole weight of the culture. Like, but fortunately, like we don't gotta wait for that with the internet, because we can connect to people all over the world, and you know, we can meet these people off these connections, and we can do shows. And so it's like on a mainstream level, yeah, it would take a Snoop Dogg or a Jay-Z to like make it a thing. Like, we're gonna be conscious, we're gonna be leaders, this is it. But they're not gonna do it because they have way too many contracts with major companies, and it's not gonna happen. So it's gonna take people like us, just having regular conversation, people that are interested in the truth. You know, like I'm surprised that we're having this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because no one cares. No one cares nowadays. No one cares about a Puerto Rican rapper from Worcester trying to make music to inspire generations. That's just frank on that level. Like no one really cares. You know what I'm saying? Like people who acknowledge it and pass it over are not gonna really love it or try to like, you know, get something from it. And the people that do nowadays, it's just a small number, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, I don't know, man. I just like at this point, none of that even matters to me. To be honest, you know, it should matter to all of us, but it's like I'm so spiritually grounded that I'm just doing it for reasons that beyond all of that, you know. But it's a tough battle and it sucks.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
What advice do you have for me as a student, right? We're all students here in different ways, shape or forms. Like what can we do in our part as fans of hip hop today, knowing like what the true hip hop is? Like what can we do to impart that message? Like what do you see it as kind of a role we could play?
I think, you know, one of the roles would just be just embrace it and educate. You know what I'm saying? And I think embracing it is the most important thing. Like don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong for liking it or tell you that your perspective on it is wrong. You know, like I grew up in the projects, right? Where a lot of people are mentally conditioned to only care about material objects or who can do this the most or this better, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I grew up battling that stigma, and that from my own people, like, and I never wavered. You know what I'm saying? I knew that my truth was mine to bear, and no one could take that away from me. And thankfully, that's how I was able to make it out of that environment without going to jail. You know what I'm saying? Without getting and addicted to drugs, because that's what I grew up around. Like, I'll wake up and see people cooking crack on the stove, and I'm here trying to right or wrong to better my spiritual placement. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, embrace it. And once you embrace it and you love it, you know, educate others. Don't force your perspective on them. Just try to help them understand from their perspective and from their level of understanding. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's all that matters to me. Like, I could easily say, oh, well, support the music, buy the merch. Like, nah, like that's whatever. You know, we could lose that in the fire. You know, but embracing it and just and truly taking the time to understand, love it, and just keep it moving. You know, that's what I would say. Share it. You know what I mean? Share it with your people. You know, the people you love. You know what I'm saying? It's the best way. You go follow me on my Instagram, Jafet Muzic. It's JAFET MUZIC.